Salam, good afternoon everyone, welcome back to the kitchen. Today I'm making a lasagna, and although a lot of people know how to make lasagna, make a delicious lasagna, everyone has their own little twist on it. So today I'm going to be showing you how I make mine. Again, I don't really measure, but let's give it a crack. So I have here 1 kilo of lamb mince. I've asked the butcher to make sure that there's not much fat on it because I don't want juice or fat in there. So as you can see, there is minimal. In my food processor, I have 4 cloves of garlic, medium size, 4 medium-sized carrots peeled and chopped just into pieces, and I have 2 very large onions in there. So I'm gonna whiz them up and then add them to the meat. After I've food processed the carrot, the onion and the garlic, I pop it on top of my meat. Now, I started doing this when my children were young because they hated carrot, they hated seeing onion, and I needed a tricky way to fool them, and I have all these years. So believe it or not, I've got a 19-year-old that lives at home, and he still hates seeing onion and carrot, and he hasn't caught on till this day. So I've popped them in there all raw, and then I will give them a good mix. Once you've cooked that for about 5 minutes, and you can see the color change already. Sometimes I'll be a bit sneaky and add a bit of very small diced mushrooms in there so he can get the extra goodness. So I have to trick it even at 19. Sorry guys, it doesn't get any better. Over here I've put in the food processor 4 cans of tomato. It can be whole, it can be diced, because you are going to give them a whiz, and make sure there's no chunks, because again, my kids do not like seeing any chunks of tomato in there. So 4 cans, whiz it in the food processor a bit, and then we're going to add that to our meat. So I've added the cans of tomato that I've whizzed up in the food processor, 1 massive tablespoon of tomato paste. I have some mixed herbs over here. I have one teaspoon of sugar. I have a couple of leaves of bay leaves there, and I'm going to give them a mix. You'll add salt and pepper. Then you will put it on a simmer and let it simmer, stirring occasionally for the next, I would say, 30 to 40 minutes, so it can reduce and thicken the sauce. Now this is ready. That's been on simmer for about 40 minutes, I would say, stirring occasionally. Now remember, the trick to having a nice moist lasagna is to have it saucy. So the more sauce you have, all your sheets get soaked and it avoids it drying out. If the sauce is not saucy, then you're going to have a very dry lasagna. So that is the consistency that you're after. Bechamel sauce, I put 50 grams of butter, 50 grams of plain flour. I melted the butter, added the plain flour, gave it a good mix, and then I added 500 ml, I think there's just under 500 ml of milk, white pepper and salt, and just whisk until it thickens up. So sauce is all ready to go. I've got my cheese here, I've got my lasagna sheets here. This is the brand I use. I don't like to fiddle around with boiling sheets beforehand. I don't like to use those hard pre-cooked ones either. This one's fantastic, out of the packet, ready to go, and it's got a beautiful texture. The thinness is just perfect. It's not thick or anything. So the reason I make a large pot, you'll see that this is only a medium-sized casserole dish. And once upon a time, back in the days in 2019, I used to make a big tray. And anytime one of my adult children popped in, there was always something to eat, and they loved my lasagna. So we'd have it at gatherings, etc. So what I will do, I still made the same amount of sauce, which is a large amount. And because I work and I'm extremely busy, I will freeze half of that sauce. And the next time I want to make a lasagna, it's the sauce is ready to go. So easy peasy. If you've got the room, I suggest you freeze as much as you can. Makes life easy. So I put a little bit of sauce on the first layer before I even put the sheets in there. just so the first layer of lasagna sheet does not stick to your pan. And I will layer it so, and this size really fits well in this casserole dish. Now, another trick of mine is don't put too much sauce. You want a very, very thin layer of sauce because you just don't want meat oozing everywhere, not enough sheets. Who doesn't love lasagna sheets? So I will put a very thin layer, and this is how you get multiple layers in there. And then I'll put myself a sprinkle of cheese in there and repeat the process until you're about 1.5 centimeters from the top, so we can put the bechamel sauce. So as you can see, I've left a little bit of room there for the bechamel sauce. I have put the rest of the lasagna sauce in a container ready for the freezer. Your last layer, last sheet of pasta, which I have right here, don't put it on yet. Make your bechamel sauce, and as soon as your bechamel sauce is ready to go on, then put your sheet and then add the sauce on top. If you add the sheet now while the meat is still a bit warm, your sheet will curl up, and you don't want that happening. And I just want you to meet our ISO cat over here, our little kitten. This is our ISO pet, and he's become part of the family. Last process before cooking, so I've put my last layer of lasagna there. I've got my bechamel sauce. Sometimes you cook a bit too much, you can't really predict. You can put as little or as much as you want. I don't go overboard, to be honest, because I don't like that thick layer of bechamel. I want a pretty thin layer. There we go. Now remember, that'll thicken up in the oven. And last but not least, your last sprinkle of cheese, and that will help it to go golden on the outside. Okay, we'll be back to show you the final product. And here, ladies and gentlemen, we have the perfect lasagna right there. Beautiful golden color. Give it a crack, see how you go. Enjoy.